do. And some people talk about house divided. You know, I have two kids. When I say they're teenagers, maybe it's a little dated, they're college age and beyond. I sent one to U of A and one to ASU. I don't let them fight about what's what inside the house. Take that outside is the main thing. So for those ASU or those U of A, it's about good work. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to share my screen. I have a tight kind of abbreviated presentation for you today. And I want to kind of walk through Public Works, what we do. I was with you last August to walk through all the coronavirus items, which we're still moving forward on. Boy, it's hard to imagine we've been at this 16 months and really going pretty aggressively. And I'm going to ask the team to just nod your head if you're seeing my presentation screen. Okay, all right, all systems are go. Good. In that case, I'm happy to walk through kind of the highlights. And today I want to kind of talk a little bit about the facilities division and kind of what role we've done, some of the changes that we've had recently, and talk about, you know, what our core mission is as we move forward here in Public Works. So I'm going to hit really quick, a quick topic about our facility inventory for the city of Phoenix, some strategic repositioning we've done over the last year or so, and then a quick hit on some new facilities and some new opportunities as we move forward. And Chris and Chuck, I want to also thank you in particular, because one of the things I wanted to highlight was, you know, my salute to the essential workers. So even though a lot of folks went home, worked from home, the buildings still need to be maintained. And even more so, we had a lot of upgrades as a result of COVID. So everything like we've got our 8 magic items, you know, everything from hand sanitizer to increased signage to touchless fixtures in thousands of buildings. We were busier than ever during this pandemic, and we continue to be so. Here at City of Phoenix, we have not brought all of our employees back. That's a stage called phase 3, which doesn't appear to be on a horizon right now, but we're ready. Having said that, our staff essentially came to work every day, and I think we're one of the few folks that did outside of some of the public safety environment. We really kept it rolling. So when you think about Public Works, Chuck, thank you for that kickoff. It's really about the essential workers and making sure the facilities are updated. So in terms of what we do here on the facilities division in Public Works, we've got 3 main divisions. We've got our solid waste line of business. We've got our fleet line of business, and I manage the facilities line of business. I'll talk a little bit about our service delivery model. You know, when I came and Chuck mentioned Tammy Fisher, I assumed responsibilities right after Tammy's departure. You know, I think we found ourselves in a way that we can take a look at the operation and do some fine tuning. So in terms of what we do, we both manage our general fund facilities very aggressively, but we partner with all departments that do their enterprise funds. So if they have facilities, they're financially responsible for those, but we coordinate our activities and we work together to develop proposals. And so generally it's in facilities, and so they got different lines of business. I know with streets and the paving program, with water distribution, and of course with the Aviation Convention Center, but we have a partnership that extends through all the lines of business, through every city department. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the facility numbers in a second, but we have facilities we lease from others, and we have those that we lease to others. And of course, specialty facilities, we're talking about everything under the sun. And I'll walk through that list briefly with you as well. You know, one part of our commitment is to that of partnership and consistency. So with every department, we have a memorandum of understanding that talks about which responsibilities are whose. And that's important because over time, in our large organization, there's been different evolution of responsibilities. So what will happen is Public Works will take over some facility responsibilities, and over time that will shift to the operating department, and they may have some specialized skill or employees, and then over time that may transition back. So that's an ongoing model that we update every year. So I want to we talked a little bit about facilities, and so for many years, along with our real estate, we've have such a vast portfolio that it's even been difficult to count. And I know even sometimes when we talk about how do we insure it all, getting a count can be really challenging amongst all of our departments and lines of business. But we actually have 1,821 permittable structures. So when you think about that, we were counting buildings and we had to kind of draw the line on what is a building. Because you think of a park, it has a facility, it has lights, it might have a playground, but it doesn't have buildings. So we went through and through an exhaustive exercise with each department, went and counted each of those at 827 sites. And now what we're doing is making sure that we have the right attributes to go with that to comprehensively manage our building portfolio. So as built plans and getting preventive maintenance plans, double checking to make sure it's all coded correctly. So that happens essentially automatically. And then our big push this year, we'll be talking about our asset management, talking about how are we maintaining building standards. So we don't have 25 different types of carpet on the truck. We got one. And so that's an evolution for us as well. And so we want to make sure we're providing that responsive maintenance and we have the right parts as well. And I'll talk a little bit later about the age of our structures, but we've got structures that are over 80 years old. And you know, those of us on the call may remember 2006 was our last general obligation bond that the city let. And even its proceeds were not fully distributed due to the economic slowdown. And so it's been quite a while since a lot of these buildings have been refreshed. And so we're starting to see an escalation in costs to maintain those buildings. Hey, the bottom line is about 26 million occupied square feet. And so that's part of our mission as we move forward. And when you talk about the kinds of facilities, you know, some people love that they don't, when they wake up in the morning, it's something different every day. Maybe I don't love it because it's a different kind of problem every day, but it does keep it interesting, and you got to be flexible and responsive. So, you know, I made a short list of the kind of things that we manage. And so, you know, everything from airports to high-rise office towers and everything in between. And there's some specialized things such as swimming pools and 911 call centers, and really essential. And so if you call 911 and no one answers, well, then who do you call? So making sure that has resiliency and redundancy is part of our core mission here at the City of Phoenix. And it's really the backbone for the service delivery across the city. Because essentially, most of our residents experience city services at a city facility. And so that really helps to facilitate that delivery for all of our partner departments. And so really our approach is whatever it takes, and we don't know where we're gonna find ourselves in the afternoon, in the morning on responsive maintenance, but what we're trying to do is get ahead of some of these issues by beefing up a preventive maintenance program, by working on major maintenance initiatives, and trying to identify issues before they escalate. Now, I want to talk a little bit about strategic repositioning. So in terms of the facility section, we used to have just one division. And so you may have worked with Janice Stroud, who had responsibility to do not only the responsive maintenance, the preventative maintenance, all the projects and planning that came about, and essentially work through all of that business portfolio we have. Since I've come on, I've been able to get some additional resources and build some divisions. And so, the operations division, which is on the right-hand side, they essentially do all the responsive repair. And so if it's not working, they roll, and they also do the preventive maintenance. They're the guys with wrenches and hammers. They're the fixers. But we established a new division on the left-hand side called planning and projects. And so in conjunction with Eric Froberg's team and the vertical project management team, they do about 120 job order contract projects a year. And so there's extensive. For example, last year, we undertook something like 32 fire alarms. And so at all different size of buildings, you've seen one building, And so Eric's team helped to deliver that. But how that gets planned and set aside is done through the planning and projects division. And so they're essentially responsible for making sure that we are deploying our assets most effectively and get the greatest value. And then finally, we created a buildings division who gives the TLC and is our front line of contact for all of our customers. So they make sure they work through their liaisons to make sure that those buildings are operating properly. And so as part of this renewed approach, we put in place some new tools in our toolbox, and that is to do facility condition assessments. In the last 14 months, we've done 118 facility condition assessments. And so this is information that really hasn't been gathered since before the year 2000. And so that is really helping us to develop three things. One, to refine our preventive maintenance program. Two, to get a list of items that need to be repaired right away. And three, have the kind of forward-looking schedule of major maintenance so we can plan our activities and efficiently manage the facilities. And working very closely with Eric and team from our budget and research department, we've established a major maintenance exercise. So there were many years when budgets were tight and almost no major maintenance was funded at the City of Phoenix. In the past 3 years, we've had an additional $10 million added to that bucket. And so that allows us to do those major maintenance projects. But we've had challenge of, since we have over 25 departments and functions, identifying which to do first. And so we've established a risk exercise where we talk with each department, we take a look at their projects, get an estimate, examine the risk. The risk is how likely is it to fail? And also, if it fails, what kind of impact would it be? Based on that risk-based exercise, we're able to make smart decisions about allocating dollars and doing projects. We've also done and renewed our ADA evaluation approach, where essentially this exercise has not been done since before 2005. And so working with our Equal Opportunity Department, we're now working very aggressively on updating those ADA evaluations. And finally, with those 1,800 buildings, having things like a document repository where we know where all the as-builts are and we know where the warranty stuff is, that's helping us to be more organized and more efficient. And so as I move to the next slide, talk about new facilities and opportunities. You may have heard the city has purchased 100 West. And so that is 27 floors, 550,000 square feet. And we had a chance to walk the building last Friday. It's in relatively good possession, a good spot, although it was built in 1971. So it's 25 years older than Phoenix City Hall, but it's been well taken care of. And what I will share with you about the details, if you're curious, we don't take possession of the building till after September, but there's going to be a transition period and where we start to plan effectively and then start to move people in, and how that comes together is yet to be determined as we get some leadership about what that looks like. But if you kind of think about the value proposition, it was purchased for $46 million. And we've done an earlier study on building a new kind of greenfield site for Phoenix Police Headquarters. And the estimate was something on the order of $330 million. So we got this site for $46 million, and we'll have to make an investment in it. There'll certainly be a major investment to have those specialized functions in place. But you really don't get better real estate than the high rise that is directly next to your Phoenix City Hall. So in that way, I think that's a really big win for the organization, and it will take us time to move that in. And really gonna have the opportunity to consolidate some of the dispersed offices that are around the downtown core and beyond. And so we'll take a look at beyond Phoenix headquarters, which was in the 620 building, which frankly needs a lot of love and is quite past its prime. There's some other downtown activities that are being considered to move in there, and also some more parking that comes in there. And I just put at the bottom a general obligation bond program. People like you in the business probably know as well as anyone, it's been quite a while since Phoenix has done a bond program. And I don't know what our position is from an elected official on when that's going to come together. The state law requires that those happen in the month of November in election years. So you got to time it just right. Can't have it at any time. But I will say it has been, this is going to be, if the next chance to do this is in 2022. That's going to be 16 years, which is the longest period that the city of Phoenix has ever gone without a bond program. And I did a presentation recently where we looked at, since 1945, how many bond programs there were, and on average there was a general obligation bond every 3 years. So it shows really how long we've been without a bond program, and that's for the decision makers to decide. But I just mentioned that because as I know our facilities continue to age, you get to a point where you do kind of the facility condition index, and you take a look at replacement versus refurbishment versus ongoing care and maintenance. That's an exercise that we hope to be able to provide the data to make some smart decisions on. So with that, in terms of my quick presentation update on Public Works facilities, I'd be happy to answer any questions the team might have.
Does anyone have any questions for Art? You can put them in the chat, or if you want to just discuss, we're in that too. Art, I thought that was a great presentation. It's nice that kind of the modernization of what you're doing as well. You know, looking at things smarter. I think that's a very good path forward for Public Works. So that was a great presentation and overview on what you guys are doing.
Chuck, thank you for that. And one thing I'd like to highlight, and Eric, I don't know if this is on your list, but you know, Ginger Spencer has been the director of the Public Works Department, and now she's received a promotion. Now she's a deputy city manager on the 12th floor now. And so, so I understand that Joe Giudice will be the new director of the Public Works Department. And I think he was just named last week. So we gave him a chance. I'm sure he would like to come to present, but since it happened just two or 3 days ago, I'll take it. But I hope he'll be able to present for you next August and give you an update on further activity.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so just while people are typing in questions or coming up with questions, I wanted to thank Art for a very thorough presentation. I had made a few notes of things to mention, and of course he hit them all. Want to first again thank him for that, and let everyone know that Art is maybe the most humble guy you will have ever met. The amount of work, and Chuck alluded to it, the amount of work that he leads and the Public Works Department does is quite staggering. As engineer of record for many of those facilities, I work really closely with Art and his team, and appreciate the work that they do to help maintain the buildings that we have. I was happy that he talked about the major maintenance, or the critical projects project that we put together. You know, we're trying to cut off kind of the highest risk issues before they happen. And as you know, Art talks about, when you have, when you're a city as old as us, it is not uncommon to have chillers or air conditioning units and those types of things that are well beyond their years, right? And it's a matter of making sure that we replace them in a timely manner with the limited amount of budget that we have. So, the 100 Washington thing, I'm glad you talked about that, Art. Adding that to the downtown campus is exciting, and that, everything becomes kind of closer together right next to City Hall, but it's going to add to that 26 million square feet, right? That needs to be maintained. So that's exciting. The walkthrough was exciting, and it seems, like you said, to be in good shape. So again, just wanted to, thank you, Art, and the Public Works team for all the good work that you do, and for coming today to give the presentation, and for mentioning Joe. I was gonna mention that too. So again, beat me to that one. We're a good team there. So yeah, so Joe Giudice will be the Public Works director, or is the Public Works director. I think starting Monday, but close enough. So yeah, if you get a chance to talk to Joe, congratulate him. It is unique to mention that the Public Works Department, a lot of people, like if you would talk to folks just out on the street, hey, what does Public Works do? Most folks would think, well, they come pick up our garbage, which they do, right? That's a big function of what Public Works does, right? But what Art and his team do for the city is separate from that, but it's all one big department. So they have these two kind of major functions all within, and they have other functions, but those are kind of the two main ones, right? To maintain our city facilities and to make sure that our trash and recycling is taken care of. So kind of two different missions, but all under one department. And I know with Art's leadership on the facilities side, we're in very good hands. So thank you, Art.
Thank you, Eric.
Could I ask, and Eric, I think you follow this as well, the convention centers. Last time I was downtown a month or so ago, it was still tore up. Is that going well? About done, or?
Yeah, so the convention center, that's one that Art has some involvement in there too. So yeah, the shoring wall project, they are moving right along. They've got, basically, we had a milestone just this last week in that the wall itself is complete and the roof has been placed over the storage area. Now we didn't get the last piece of roof in before the last big rain, so we had a little bit of rework to do where some water got into the building, but hey, that happens. We'll take the rain. Drywall is relatively cheap, so we'll take the rain. So, but they've got that kind of fixed up. Now it is going back and landscaping and hardscape and putting the sidewalks back and all the art and the signs. And so there's still quite a bit of work to do. It'll probably be November-ish before it's all said and done and people are back on the plaza again. But big milestone this week in that it's now kind of an enclosed space. So we kind of joke that's the most expensive wall you'll never see because it's all underground. We have a little bit more square footage there, Art, for you guys to take care of. It was pretty expensive square footage, but now it'll actually help hold up Hall 6 in the convention center. So it's all good. Give us a few more months and it'll get, at least our projects will get cleaned up. Or the convention center projects. The light rail will keep it tore up down there for quite a while.
Yeah, I noticed about every block was tore up down there. So that
right.
one will be done and there'll be another 10 waiting. So
yeah.
Right. So before we leave, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to make?
Yep. So I have a couple. So just so I have a few slides to go over here, and then I'll have Kathleen, who's with our procurement group. She'll have an update on projects, on some upcoming projects. So let me share my screen here. This is information that is, let's see. I shared this yesterday with the AGC, the contractors. A lot of this stuff is focused on construction, but it's good for you guys to know kind of what the city is doing, partly just so you know, and partly for you firms that are CA&I firms or do CA&I for us, right? You can kind of know kind of where we're going. So Chuck, thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right. So on the June 22nd policy meeting, council voted to have on an 8-hour rule that allowed the city to do a little bit of research. In this case, it was on construction jobs and compensation for our construction jobs. Two kind of things here to point out here, something that I didn't know about until I joined the city, the 8-hour rule. So the 8-hour rule is something that when a council person or mayor or a group of them want us staff to do some work or some research that's outside of our normal job duties, they go in a public forum and they have to vote on it. The 8-hour rule kind of prevents a mayor or council from individual council person from getting guys like me or Art kind of running down a rabbit hole, right, without the other council people knowing about it. So they did vote to allow us to spend a little bit of time, more than 8 hours worth of time on this particular topic. Now they can do 8-hour rules on anything. This just happened to be the one. So right now, the city engineer's office and law department are doing some research about what possibilities we have to create, to increase compensation for construction jobs. I won't call it prevailing wage because that's a whole different thing, but that's kind of generally what they're looking at. But we're doing some research. We are bringing our research to an e-session to mayor and council in September, and then if and when there are need to go beyond the direction, if we get some direction from council, then there'll be other stakeholder meetings. I did mention to AGC that we will have them there. I don't know. I'll work with Justin and you, Chuck, to see if that's something that you guys would be interested in. It is very much focused on construction, so it may or may not be. Let's see here. Contract templates. This through a lot of hard work and time. We probably would have been done by now if I hadn't gone to the water department for 6 months and delayed this, but we are revamping and kind of updating all the contract templates. We want them all to sound like the same person wrote them. All the definitions sound the same. They all say the same thing. Doesn't make sense if design professional means 4 different things in 4 different contracts. So we're going to try to clean that kind of stuff up. A little bit, this was just kind of information on the small business enterprise, something that the city engineer's office works with EOD on. Just kind of some stats here to show how well it's working even during a pandemic. So of our locally funded projects, and I put that caveat in there because if it is federally funded, then it's the DBE program. So we're talking just about the SBE program. We currently have $1.6 billion worth of contracts to primes or with prime firms. And then when you drill down to subcontractors and SBEs, almost $145 million have been assigned to or paid to SBEs. So you can see that the SBE program is working very well when you can get $145 million out to those small businesses. The average goal is there's this kind of process that we go through to set goals on the different types of construction projects. The average goal for all projects is 5.8, and you can see the contractors are doing a good job in that they are currently achieving a 7.2%. So very good. I gave them some congratulations on that. And just this year, since January, so in the last 8 or 9 months, we've paid nearly $31 million out to SBE. So again, during, as we're coming out of and starting to open up just a little bit, still $31 million going to small businesses. So the city's, we're really proud of that. And then just kind of looking at all projects in totality right now, 78% of them show them meeting or exceeding their goals. And that number is a little bit low in that I went from beginning, project could have started yesterday. Well, not yesterday, last week. And it would be included. Well, of course, they're not meeting their SBE goal because they haven't actually started any work. So some of the early projects we understand don't meet their goals right away. So that number is probably more into the 90-ish range if you kind of exclude those projects. So again, very proud of the SBE program. And the last thing that I brought up to the contractors is that we're looking to add a safety criteria to their, as a scoring criteria to their various procurements. So whether it's CMAR, design build, JOC, or low bid, having some type of safety criteria. Now with low bid, it wouldn't actually be a scoring criteria, but it may end up being something that that they need to meet a minimum score to be able to submit on a project, right? Because that we don't actually score on low bid, it's just based on dollars. So those were the things that I wanted to talk about there. Kathleen, I will turn it over to you. This is the part that I've delayed them long enough. Art and I have done our part delaying them long enough. This is the part they really want to hear about, Kathleen.
Wait.
So look, everybody gets excited. They've all started grabbing their pens or their phones. You're going to see a lot of phones show up. So
Wait, can I delay us longer and ask a couple questions on that?
Okay, sure.
Sorry, everyone. You can yell at me. What was the general the reaction from the contractors on that presentation?
So
questions and
no, not too many. They did have one. They had a suggestion on the last one about the scoring criteria. They were, because I had listed out a few different options that we could consider type of a thing. And the one that the EMR, one of the contractors brought up that according to their, because the EMR is really a risk-based model that goes along with kind of your insurance premiums and those types of things. And they were wanting us to consider maybe one of the other ones and not so much the EMR, because the EMR is more of a insurance-based risk model, and it doesn't maybe reflect as, it doesn't reflect the level of safety or you know, who is more or less safe is kind of what they told me. And, you know, that's the kind of stuff that we'll work out with them about. I don't necessarily have a preference which one. I just think that the idea of putting that in there, right? We talk about, you know, scope being important, which it is, and schedule and budget and those types of things. But contractors talk a lot in their proposals, right, about safety, but we never really evaluate them on that, right? We just kind of take their word for it. So if there's a way that we can quantify how to separate the exceptionally safe versus the marginally safe, right? And that doesn't mean that we don't want them all to be exceptionally safe, but there should be, in my opinion, there should be bonus points, right, for the ones that are that have a stronger track record of safety. So no, it was a good conversation. They just, you know, were saying, well, the EMR may be this, that, and the other. And I said, no, we're not instituting anything right now. This is just an FYI, something I was thinking about. So no, it was positive.
That's good. What, obviously this is not quite Davis-Bacon, but something close is what City of Phoenix is looking at. Do you guys currently monitor wages on construction projects, or is this going to be new, kind of a new admin function that's going to have to be created on it?
Yeah, so not Davis-Bacon. I have to put that one out there. But
yeah, right.
yeah, because it's not a prevailing wage. They just want us to look at, you know, what could we be doing, and maybe, you know, some of the, you know, maybe it's a livable wage, or maybe it's, I mean, there's lots of different ways to talk about wages, right? There's a minimum wage, there's a livable wage, there's prevailing wages, there's all these different things. Is they just wanted us to look to see if there's a way. And when it went to the vote, Councilwoman Pastor mentioned the Davis-Bacon wages, but we were quick to kind of just say, look, that wouldn't be what this is, because that's for federally funded projects. So to answer your question, we do right now, and I have a whole group, a labor compliance group, Marcy and her group, that's what they do on federally funded projects. So on federally funded projects, Marcy and her group go out and do interviews and make sure that if Bob today is working as an electrician, he's getting paid as an electrician, where last week maybe Bob was working as a concrete finisher, right? And last week Bob needed to be paid like a concrete finisher. So we do have a group that does that, but only for federally funded projects. So lots of challenges with this topic, just from a legal standpoint, based on Title 34 and those types of things. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what council asks us to do going forward. But just wanted to kind of, you know, let you and everybody know that we're at least looking at it.
No, I think that's great. And the other, so the way that it affects us probably more directly is in engineers' estimates. So I think we'll want to have a joint meeting with, you know, the AGC and see what this means for our engineers' estimate, whether, you know, where do we, if the wages do go up, say 20% in City of Phoenix project, where do we put that in our estimate, and where does the contractors see that increase going to be included? So
sure,
that's, I mean, it's a great conversation. We look forward to it. So I think in the future, as you guys get a little further, we'll hear more about it, and probably talk to the contractors on what it does to them and what it does to our estimates. So that's all I had. Thank you very much. Now, if you want to give the intro to Kathleen again, definitely the person that we most want to hear today.
Yeah, well, everybody's looking at you now like, come on, Chuck, I'm ready to hear about the
project. I know, right? They can,
all right,
at least
Kathleen.
they can yell at me now, right? They can be like,
yeah,
that
right.
Chuck.
That's right. All right, Kathleen, it's up to you. Here we go.
Okay.
No pressure.
Right. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Eric. Again, hi, I'm Kathleen Lewis. I'm in the design and construction procurement. I'm going to just let you know about a few advertisements we have going on right now, and also some that we have coming up. So these are our professional services. Right now we have Deer Valley Airport blast pads. This is design and construction administration and inspection, federally funded. We also have 35th Avenue, I-10 to Camelback Road. This is a build design, and this is also federally funded. On Thursday, we have pavement management JOC program. This is support construction inspection on-call services. And then we have coming up, advertising soon, is the T2050 program management consultant qualified vendor list. And we also have the booster pump stations, 10A through B1 and Cave Creek. This is Lone Mountain Water Mains CA&I services. So that's what we have coming up. Thank you, everybody.
So there you go, Chuck. In the group, there's a water, there's an aviation, there's a couple streets, like we're trying to get a little bit for everybody.
Trying to get a little bit for, well, we appreciate
Yeah.
that, Eric. That's great.
Yeah.
So with that, if there's no further announcements or comments, we will conclude the meeting. I thank you all for coming. Again, this is I love hearing from Public Works. Next month will be the water department. So I think that is September 28th, I believe. Let me double check. September 28th, it'll be the water department, and they don't have anything going on in the water department. So probably be a 5-minute presentation and, anyway, I hope to see you all there next month. And again, thank you for coming. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.